Welcome everyone to today's executive roundtable, to this event centered on AI in learning and development. Friend or foe to the L&D professionals, so very up-to-date, very current topic. And for everyone who's new here today, I think I've seen a few new faces on here. I will give a quick introduction, just outline the event quickly for you to get an understanding what to expect from today. And then we'll start in a few minutes with the actual program as well. So we are hosting these L&D Executive Roundtables on a regular basis as a form of a networking event for the L&D community to be able to come together. And we usually, by nature, of course, have learning and development professionals on here from different countries, internationally, of course. But also, depending on the topic, trainers, coaches, other service providers from the space as well. And the reason we are hosting these events is that so we ourselves, Blue Elephant Solutions, have a background in learning and development. That's where we're born from, basically. So we always try to keep a close connection to the community as well, and really want to provide a platform where people from learning and development can come together and exchange ideas and best practices and learn new things and keep up to date with developments as well. That's the reasoning behind these events. And the way we are structuring them, and that's what you can expect from today as well. We always build them around a specific focus topic. So today that's related to AI in learning and development. Then we have a keynote speaker on who's going to give a presentation related to this topic as well. I will give you some information on who we have here today as well in a minute. And after the presentation, the idea is really to open up this event for everyone on here to be able to ask questions or maybe share their take on things or share their experience with things as well, to really have this like an open and interactive session, and for people to connect as well. Yeah. Then at this point, I will quickly hand over to Christian, who's on the call with us today. He's the CEO of Blue Elephant Solutions. He's going to give a quick introduction of who we are as hosts, and then we'll move on to today's program.
Sure. Thanks, Max. I'll keep it actually super short because we're here to listen to Joel. So we are also in the space of learning and development, and we're absolutely crazy about artificial intelligence. We really want to learn on how we can use that for our clients in a very productive, but also combined way, so that it's always, I think we will never be able to replace everything in learning with AI or tools. There's always a human factor, and we really try for our clients to combine this. We build standard tools like spaced repetition tools, gamified learning solutions, AI coaches, AI assistants where you can search for things, but we also do a lot of custom developments for our clients across the world. And it's just an important thing for us to bring the community together and together to actually learn more and explore new areas. And we hope we can achieve this with this call. So that's what we want to give back to the L&D community. Thanks, Max.
Thank you. Sorry, I had some issues finding the unmute button for a second. Yeah, very well said. Thank you very much. And then at this point, yeah, it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker to everyone. I'm very happy that today on this call, we're joined by Joel Sadhanand. Thank you very much, Joel, for joining. He's the Director of Talent Development at Comcast, which is a media and technology MNC. You might be familiar with TV channels like NBC, for example, who operate under Comcast. And Joel looks back on about 17 years of experience actually in learning and development. And I think more than half of it actually in leading decision-making capacities as well. He's got a bachelor's degree in psychology, and on top of that, also specifically a postgraduate diploma in workforce development and training. He's a certified Scrum Master, and of course, very passionate about learning new things himself, educating himself on new trends and technologies, but also, of course, sharing his knowledge with other people as well. And what you see here, probably as a third bullet point, Joel is actually a published author. He's published a book called The Unexpected Leader, which is a fictional story about a company that replaces its management level with AI. So AI is basically taking over business operations, and about how everything unfolds from there on, basically. So quite an interesting read. Would recommend having a look at it as well. I think it's probably available on Amazon as well. Because of that, I can't think of anyone better actually to join us today as a speaker for this specific topic of AI in learning and development. So thanks again, Joel, for taking the time today, for joining us. I would hand over to you at this point. Stop sharing my screen. You can share yours. And once you're ready, feel free to start with your presentation as well then.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Max. Let me just set my screen share. Can you all let me know if you're able to see, my face, and then you should see some kind of a visual behind.
Yeah, we can.
All right, great. So again, really excited to talk to a lot of my peers here. First off, I am not an AI expert. I don't have any formal education in AI. I'm not a data scientist. I'm not an ML engineer. So I may not know a lot of things, but everything that I have known or picked up is from my own experience. So it's going to be mostly me sharing my experiences here today. So let's get started. AI, friend or foe? When Max discussed this question, I thought that was a very interesting question to ask. And I would say AI is not a friend nor a foe. AI is more of an intern, right? So think of an intern. They're excited. They want to learn more. They make a lot of mistakes. They need a lot of delegation, a lot of clarity, a lot of support, right? But they can do a lot. Right, so I would say that's how I think of AI, and imagine a billion interns that are there, right? And imagine if you don't scale up, right? What could happen? Today, I think things are great, but in about 15, 20 years, imagine these interns growing up together, right? And that's going to be a force to reckon with. And so I'm going to invite you to a journey here today. Yeah, so think of me like Morpheus. I'm going to give you the red pill or the blue pill and say, come with me on a journey here. But there are three things that I really want to bring awareness to. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I don't think I can teach anything, but I think there are three specific areas of awareness that you can go away with today. One is you can really ask yourself, hey, is my team AI ready, right? Because we keep using this word AI and we want to find solutions. But at the end of this 20-minute, 25-minute presentation, you should be able to going back with a question saying, how do I conduct an AI audit? Is my team ready? And if you're already running something AI, right, you should be able to have better awareness of conducting an audit and say, can I scale it up? Second is you should get an awareness of how to build a use case. And if you have a use case, what's the team that is required and what kind of resources that are required to solve a problem using AI, right? Third is probably the most important, is to really take ownership of solving the problem by not delegating the thinking to AI, right? Which means that you still solve the problem. You solve the problem in your head. You figure out all the possible solutions and use the intern, aka the AI, to help you figure out those things, right? And that's what today's journey is going to be, right? Now, what's the current state if you see, there are a lot of questions that that we're asking. If you take any app or if you take any website, all of them have this tagline, right? Powered by AI. It's become like almost like second nature to everybody, right? Will AI take my jobs? Can I use it in recruitment? AI, since we are in the L&D phase, right? You must have heard of this company called Synthesia, which produces AI avatars, right? So I've been very uneasy, I should say, by all this hype and over romanticization about AI, right? And my take is we are asking the wrong questions, and these are all unstructured, wrong questions. So what do we do? If you really want to get the best of AI, ask the right questions, right? And what are they? The first question that you need to really ask yourself is, what's the use case? What's the problem that I'm trying to solve, right? And then you say, what resources will help me solve this problem? And within the overall ecosystem, is my organization ready? Am I ready? And how do I go about, right? I would also like to lead you into a murky area, which is the self, right? And a lot of times we kind of fail to see how we are contributing to the problem. As an L&D professional, that's something that I always think about, right? So whether you would be successful with AI or not would also depend on the kind of behaviors that you display, right? Are you displaying any detrimental behaviors, which is actually stopping you from moving forward, right? In this age of AI, is there a specific pattern of thinking that is required? And as L&D professionals, should we or should we not pick up new skills, right? So these are the questions, the set of questions that I say, if you are able to use in a structured way, you should get the best out of the whole AI ecosystem here, right? So the next 20 minutes that I have, I'm going to split my presentation into two halves. The first half, I will talk about the internal. Second half, I'll talk about the external, and then we'll close. Right. So now that we have an understanding of an internal aspect and an external aspect, I'll start with a very interesting story of what we call as a Luddite revolution, or the Luddite movement in the early 19th century, specifically in 1811. Now, in 1811, something very, very curious and very strange happened in England. Until 1811, right, that time, if you had to manufacture clothing, right, woolen clothing, especially in England, you had to manufacture them through your physical weaving looms that were there, right, weavers that we know, right? Now, steam engine came in and kind of revolution. That's the first revolution, right? Steam engine revolutionized and mechanized everything. Now, in the early 90s, what happened was a lot of these factory owners and businessmen, they started adopting mechanized looms, which means that, weavers did not need to, use their physical hands to do that, right? Suddenly there was this steam-powered looms, which did 10 times the job of what these weavers did. Now, common sense would say that, hey, it's part of the job and we should learn, and things would change. But incidentally, what happened was there was a lot of rejection, a lot of fear, almost to the extent that it became a revolution where people rebelled. There was bloodshed. People started breaking the looms. Some of the even business owners were killed, almost to the extent that the army had to be brought in, the queen had to intervene, which resulted in unfortunate executions, and that was a pretty bloody, messy affair, if I should say, right? And this is not the first time, right? And history shows that such loom, the Luddite movement, as we call it, keeps happening again and again. But what I'm curious about is, maybe I'll just take a pause and let some of you either chat or answer this question. I really like to hear some of your thoughts in terms of why did the weavers rebel, right? What was wrong with their thinking? What do you think they could have done better in terms of the way approach that scenario, right? I mean, common sense says, yeah, things will get better, right? Mechanized looms means more production means more demand means again more production, right? It's a virtuous circle. What do you think prevented these weavers from looking into the future and adapting that? you like to put something on chat, or you like to just unmute yourself and speak? I'm really interested to see what do you think about that. Right, change, fear of the unknown. Absolutely. Thanks for that, Naveen. Thanks for Jan. Change, right? We always fear change, right? But let me give you a bright spot there, right? I'm going to share two quick examples, one from MIT and one from Facebook, right? There is this professor at MIT, Regina Basile. She was working on developing an antibiotic, right? She's from the microengineering platform, right? And she was solving the problem of superbug. Now, if you know what a superbug is, right? Today, our bodies have become resistant to almost all the antibiotics that are available, right? And it's becoming very, very difficult to build a new antibiotic. Now, a traditional scientific way of developing an antibiotic is to take an existing element and look at molecular similarities and then try and build a new antibiotic, right? Which has got very, very low success rate because the bacteria pretty much knows what the molecular structure is. Now, Regina kind of said, hey, let's not look at this. What if I don't look at the molecular similarity of the molecular structure, but rather just ask a simple question: did it kill the bug? Right? Did it have an impact on the bug? Right? So she and her team completely revamped the approach. And then they started testing different molecular structures. And again, this example is from the book called Framers. I will share some material at the end. And then the author says that it seems that they did almost 1 million data experiments, data sets, before they were able to find an antidote to the superbug, right? It is called halcin right now. And it seems that, we have an antibiotic, which is like powerful than the superbug. Now, what is interesting, the author says, is the headlines in all the scientific publications said, AI discovers, an antidote. In fact, the author says it was not the AI, it was Regina Basile, right? It was her thinking where she said, I'm not going to use the regular molecular structure, but let me try something different, which nobody ever tried before, right? And then Regina used the intern, which is the AI, for almost 2 to 3 years, sending in data set, teaching the intern again and again over a period of time, and only then the success was achieved at, right? So see how press and how the social media is like, romanticizes the idea of AI, right? But then it's the intern. So you can't imagine giving credit to, of course, right? For a leader's job, right? You give the leader the credit, right? The second example is Joaquin Candle. Joaquin Candle is the head of AI and machine learning unit at Facebook currently, and he joined Facebook in 2012, right? Now, when he joined Facebook in 2012, he inherited a very mediocre machine learning algorithm, right? And again, almost like 12, 15 years back. And then anybody's natural instinct is to say, hey, let me build a better algorithm, right? But then Joaquin Candle did something different. He said, I have a choice. I can either build a better algorithm, or I can take the same algorithm, run multiple experiments, and see how it impacts the product, right? So he took a conscious choice of not building his team and not focusing on building a better algorithm, but he started going out to all the different Facebook feature and product teams and started running Facebook experiments, AI experiments, right? The result was the feed system, the recommendation system, all the innovation that you saw, which typically Facebook was the one who really created the recommendation system, right? Kind of came up because of Joaquin Candle's different behavior, which is focusing on the use case, right? Rather than focusing on or being marveled at AI, right? And today, Facebook runs about 1.2 million predictions per day, right? That's what I heard when I least checked, right? So this is what the internal aspect of it, right? And I like to sum it up by saying that I would like to use a word called strategic imagination. What Regina did and what Joaquin Candle did and what the Luddites could not do was strategic imagination. right? So that's the first step, right? If you really want to get the best use of AI, right, you have to stop getting marveled by this term of AI and think of AI as an intern, as a very smart, intelligent intern who can get the job done. But you have to think, right? You have to solve the problem in your head. You have to figure out the use case and then give specific instructions to the intern. Right. So with that, we kind of end the first part. Now that I've figured out, now I know that, you know, the responsibility of thinking lies with me. Still, the responsibility of solving the problem lies with me. Right. With that thought process, how do I use AI? Right. I'm going to show 4 different charts and try and explain this in less than 5 minutes. Now imagine if let's say all of us are friends and we've known each other, right? Let's say we're acquaintances or whatever. Now let's say I come to you and say, hey, I have an animal with me and I'm going away for vacation and I'd like to leave my animal with you for 2 days. What would you say? Right? Again, it's a question to everybody now. I'd like to see if you like to answer that, right? So I'm going to say, I have an animal, I'm going to leave my animal with you. Would you say yes? Would you take my animal? Or would you like to ask me more questions and get some more clarity? Depends on the animal, right? So what would you ask me? Give some instructions, right? Okay, thanks, Christian. Christian would say, hey, you know, give me some more, right? What else? What else would you need to respond to my question? I have an animal. Is it carnivorous? Yeah. Good one, Naveen. Yeah, any other? What is the animal like, right? Okay, great. Thanks, Nyan, for that, right? So the reason why I bring this up is using the statement. Is it trained for how long? Yes, thank you for that. So again, now the reason I bring this up is using the statement AI powered is equal to using the statement animal. Right? Let that sink in. Right? Anybody says, oh, let me use AI. I'm going to use AI. No, I'm going to use AI to solve this, right? Oh, are you is your organization, scaling up in AI? What you're actually saying is you're using a very, very high generic term called similar to what an animal is, right? I would rather say, instead of using the word animal, what if I say, hey, I have a cat, right? Which is small, which is this breed and this needs this, right? That would make sense. That would be useful information for you, right? So my intent for the next 5 minutes is to kind of break down that generic term into something specific, right? And then see how we can use that specificity for any of our use cases, right? So if you could shift your focus to the left top corner where you see this data science, big deep learning, machine learning, maths, and all of that, right? So if you want to understand AI is composed, or the basic element of AI is mathematics, right? Yeah. So it's as simple as that, right? It isn't a genie, it is an intern, like I said, but the core engine of AI is data. Right, so it's like the fuel for your machine. You can have a Ferrari, you can have a Mitsubishi, you can have a Toyota, but if you don't have fuel, there's no point, right? So the first thing that we need to understand is AI. The first layer is data, right? On top of data is where all the AI elements come in, right? Let me give you a very interesting example. In 2012, right, exactly the same time when Wacom Candle joined Facebook, right? Somewhere in Target, right, there was an interview about, again, you can, as we speak, right, you can always use your Google and kind of search out everything that I speak, because I pick everything pretty much from, public domain, information. Now, there is this article. If you search a Google, type Target and pregnant daughter, right? This is a very interesting story that's been doing the rounds, right? So what happened is at Target, every credit card purchase that they do, right, of customers, they have an ID that is tagged, right? Again, this is way before AI really kind of exploded, right? Still in those Excel sheets, MySQLs, that era, right? Early in 2010, 2012. Now, what Target did was they used to kind of track this data, and they observed a very interesting pattern. right? For a specific set of customers, right? Whenever whenever a credit card makes an increased purchase in magnesium, I think there's another, I don't know, calcium, magnesium, and cotton balls. For example, they've kind of found out that that credit card owner is pregnant, right? Because generally the data that I've observed is women in the first trimester, their shopping patterns are, increase in these specific purchases. So in fact, it also, went to the level where they actually started sending, baby care material to a customer who had a teenage daughter, right? The customer actually raised an issue and complained to Target, but then Target said, this is what the data says. And then the customer actually realized that, his daughter was pregnant. That's the power of predictive analytics, right? I'm using statistical language here. Now, this happened almost 15, 20 years ago when we did not have any AI, right? Where we didn't have flashy algorithms. I'm assuming that somebody at Target had a huge Excel sheet, right? And he or she was running linear progressions and coefficient of correlations, any of these statistical models, and then they figured out certain patterns. So this example is to kind of bring in that aspect that the top layer of AI, it can be fancy, but at the end of the day, it's the data that really, really matters. If you have strong data, then yes, you're ready, right? Now look at the right bottom side of the screen, where you see a 3-level layer, right? So if you're asking yourself, is my organization AI ready? Or if you're saying, hey, can I start using AI to solve problems, right? What kind of problems? The first thing that you really need to ask yourself is, do you have enough data, right? Do you have a cloud infrastructure? Do you have big data capabilities, right? Now, what is big data? Big data is your ability to take data from different formats and still get sense of out of it. For example, all of us would love to measure employee experience, right? Employees' happiness scores. But the traditional method is sending out a survey. You send a survey, and that survey is coded back into an Excel sheet. But what about instances where employees are happy and send an email to each other? What about instances when employees are sitting in a cafeteria and having a great blast, right? Do you capture that data? Not really, right? Because my capability is only Excel. So this is where big data comes in, where it captures images, it captures audio, it captures text, it captures numbers, and kind of gets everything into a system where it can convert it, tag, and things like that, right? So again, so that's in short what big data capability is. So if you do not have a data scientist, a data engineer, then pretty much I would say you're not really ready for AI, right? That's the first step. Now, once you do that, on top of that is your AI layer, which is the cognitive systems, the deep learning, automation, intelligent automation, and then you think about which industry or which team or which use case can I run my AI, right? So I'll take a small pause here. So what did we learn? We learned that the first layer is data, right? And the first layer is my ability to manipulate all kinds of data, right? And the larger, again, remember Regina Basley had run 1 million data sets, right? If you do not have a huge data set, if you do not have, period, for example, if you want to predict whether an employee would be a top performer or not, for example, right? You need to have performance data for at least 10, 15 years, or at least about 100 performance reviews, or 10,000 performance reviews, right? Or maybe even 1 million performance reviews. If you have that huge level of data, then you can actually go and even ask the question, right? If you don't have the data, my recommendation is, if you really want to take your dive into the AI journey, spend the next 6 months, 1 year, really cleaning up your data, right? Get a data scientist, do an audit, and ask them, hey, I have Excel, I have this. Is there a way that we can combine all of this data and be ready with the data before you kind of move in it, right? And the easiest tip that I can give you is get a statistician. In fact, 15 years ago, I used to run leadership assessment centers where I took the assessment scores, and then I correlated it with the performance score. Basically, what I was trying to figure out was, anybody who goes through a leadership assessment, can I predict whether that person is going to be a top performer 6 months from now? Right? And I did not have any tools. All I had was Excel. All I had was this function called correlation coefficient. Right? Unfortunately, I couldn't, because my correlation of coefficient of correlation was very low. I really couldn't find any match. Right? But I was able to do that. Right? So anybody here today, you can still try that. Now, very quickly, looking at the top right and the top left bottom corner is, what can I do with, what is that fancy AI thing, right? So AI is, you could say, is broken down into algorithms. So I'm talking about the right top corner, which is called machine learning. Machine learning is basically an algorithm which can predict whether whether somebody will do some. For example, you can predict whether the house rent prices would go up. You can predict whether stock prices would go up. You can predict that, whether the temperature would go on up. Right. So machine learning uses algorithms to predict certain things. Again, prediction is just one of the things that it can do. Now, deep learning is something which is like 15, 20 machine learning algorithms together and trying to figure out something complex. Right? It does more than prediction. It can, for example, your chat bots, your virtual assistants, all of these are a result of deep learning algorithms. Right? So the difference between machine learning and deep learning on a very high level is, machine learning is an undergraduate and deep learning is a PhD student. As simple as that. But all of these are under the same umbrella. Now, Gen AI is a function of NLP. Gen AI is basically ability of chat or any of these machine learning algorithms to produce content, which again, Chat GPT is one of the outputs, right? We talk a lot about Chat GPT. So AI, under AI, you have machine learning. Under machine learning, you've got deep learning, and then Gen AI is just one small element of that overall piece. And then the left bottom corner just simply talks about, if you really want to build a use case, there are different ways that you can do. You can use machine learning. You can use an NLP, which is again a chat bot, which to produce content. You can use robotics, to scan things, or machine vision. But to begin with, I think NLP is the easiest way, right? To further simplify this thing, I'll move to the next slide and say, if we kind of culminate all of this, right, at the end of the day, it's the question that you ask, which is, what is the use case, right? The previous one is more like the whole engine, the gear shifts and all of that, right? But then this one talks about where you want to go, right? So ignore all the previous slides, right? But this is probably the most powerful slide and probably the most powerful question that you can ask yourself, right? So typically, again, you can search in Google and you can just type typical AI use case families. You'll see this, right? And there are others as well. But here are, maybe we'll just spend a few minutes and just kind of understand how can you use any of these use cases in your organization or for your team or for yourself, right? The first one is prediction. Like I said, you can predict certain behaviors, you can do that for recruitment. You can predict whether somebody is going to be a top performer or bottom performer, even during the recruitment phase, right? You can predict whether somebody is going to leave the organization, yes or no, right? In order to do that, you need to have tons and tons of data. You can have an autonomous system, like a integrated system of WhatsApp messengers and emails, which automatically trigger a new joiner experience. That's possible, right? You can plan, schedule maintenance. I'm trying to give a mix of HR and L&D related examples, and also touch upon other use cases, right? What you see here is generic business use cases, right? For example, there are certain organizations today. For example, there's an organization called INSA, where it can predict when a system will break down. It is used in plants today, right? Any chemical plant, any nuclear plant, you can actually predict when a spare part will wear away, and the system will give a trigger warning saying, hey, 3 months from now, you need to replace this. right? So that's something that you can do. Point number 10 and point number 11 are probably things that we have really experienced very quickly, right? So conversational chatbots that are available today, AI chatbots, and then second, and content generators. I will probably do a quick demo where I will show you how I have been using the 11th use case, which is content generation, right? And then, maybe something around recommendation systems, right? So today, most LMSs have a recommendation system where, you take one course and then they're able to, push certain courses that are similar, right? So I'll kind of slow down here. This is probably the last slide. Now, we started off by saying, there is an internal lens and there is an external lens, right? And I said, the first question that we really need to ask ourselves is, what is the use case, right? So I hope this slide gives you a starting point, right? So next time when you go to an organization and you have this motivation to do something, right? You think of your problem statement, you think of what exactly do you want to solve and see whether any of these use cases will help you solve that problem, right? And then ask yourself, do I have enough data capabilities? And then probably get an AI engineer or a data engineer to help and build that team and that resources and really use that build case, right? So this is my recommendation. And this recommendation is for anyone who has not started any AI solutions, right? Of course, there are others in the room who are already using these, right? You probably may have done something like this in your previous organization. But like I said, it can also help you to think whether you're ready to scale up your solutions, right? Whether you're able to use sensory visions and robotics and all of that, right? So this is something that will help. Right. So what I like to do very quickly next is show a quick demo, and then we will close. So I will stop sharing my screen for a quick moment, and I will share again. Okay. Can you tell me if you can see something called a big event titled?
Yeah, can.
All right, great. Okay, so I'm sure everybody uses chatbot. I'm going to show a quick demo of how I've trained my intern here, right? So, I'm very active on LinkedIn, and one of the problems that I face is, it's very difficult for me to type content myself and post every day, right? And the second problem that I face is how can I create interesting and unique content, right? That's a use case. So I started, experimenting with, ChatGPT, and I have built my own ChatGPT. I've trained my GPT, and here's how I thought through it, right? I asked my GPT, hey, is there a way that I can just pick the next upcoming global events and then just convert them into an interesting leadership learning insight, right? That's the problem statement. And then I started doing all of this, and this is the outcome, right? So today, I can just say, right? Now I know that US Open is happening, right? So what I ask my GPT is, okay. I'm sorry, my intern is not behaving as I wanted my intern to. Okay, so I'm going to try that again. So here's the unpredictable element of AI as well. So what you noticed was I had given a prompt, but it was not following the prompt. So I had to instruct it to say, hey, don't think, just do what I say. right? And what you see is a very structured outcome. Now, if you have GPT, you can just type US Open, and the content that will come out is very different from the content that you see here, right? So I had trained my GPT to think like a leadership consultant and say, for every event, think about, who are the key contributors and what do we learn from them, and how do we convert that into an experience for leaders, right? And I had also instructed my GPT to produce an image, right? This has produced the image, but unfortunately we're not able to see the image, right? So that's the example that I wanted to kind of show, right? So again, see how unpredictable the intern is, right? You'll have to continuously keep telling and nudging the intern, right? But for me, what is the use case? Now all I have to do is just copy paste this element and do a bit of very high level editing, proofreading, and then I can I can put it up, right? And today what I do is my LinkedIn page, I schedule my post for the next 10 days, for the next 20 days, right? And in that sense, I'm very, very consistent in terms of doing that. So this is how my my chat GPT works, right? So I'm going to pause. And I'm going to come back to my presentation. Just give me a moment. Right. So here's a bit of a self-disclosure, right? So the use case for me was content generation, and the resources that I wanted to use was ChatGPT, Dolly, Canva ecosystems, and then there was this continuous trial and error that I had to do, and the real thinking from my perspective was I had to ask myself, what if I converted every step into a leadership lesson, and what would that mean, right? And then the skills that I really needed to enable this use case was my ability to understand prompt engineering, which is not too fancy, right? I had to train my GPT, and I have some element of storytelling, some skills that I would say, and then I understand how to write a copy, content curation. So these combined together are the skills that I require to generate a content like this. Right now, imagine if I did not have storytelling or copywriting knowledge, my content would be very similar to anybody else who produces the same, right? Anybody can copy my algorithm. But what makes my output unique is because Joel Sadhanand is able to use the storytelling. For example, I use the AIDA, right? And I say, does it follow the AIDA format, right? There are certain elements about copy, which is like having an impressive title, right? Having a quick call to action, and content generation is, because I've read so much, I know I can instinctively differentiate between high quality and low quality content, right? And when I look at my output, sometimes I say, no, it's not going to work. Right. So that's in culmination of what I say in terms of the usage of the external and the internal lenses. Right. And I hope this exercise helped you. So like I said, we started off by our journey by saying that, by the end of the session, you should be able to conduct your own AI audit. You should be able to even ask yourself, hey, if there is a use case, what skills and what team do I need? And really believe that you are the one in the driver's seat and you need to solve the problem.
Thank you very much for this presentation. I think very insightful, very thought-provoking as well. Probably quite interesting for everyone, because we're all in similar situations. I think when it comes to AI and how to use it and how to perceive it. So as I said in the beginning, what we usually do at this point is we want to open up the session for everyone on the call here. We're a bit short of time, obviously. We personally can also do a bit longer, but of course mindful of everyone else's time as well. So maybe for everyone on here, maybe just give a quick intro as well of yourself, and ask questions, of course, ask Joel questions, and maybe give some take of how do you see AI, how you have encountered it in your role as well. I think the way we can do this probably the most efficiently now. If I just see the participants list here, and we can just quickly go through them so everyone really gets the chance to also say something before the event is over. I would start with Kiritika.
Sure. So I am from CIC U-Learn team.
Kiritika is from my team. I have some of my team members as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is much of a need of the hard topic because considering the penetration of AI into various sectors, it will be proactive. It is really a proactive initiative to having made this as a topic of discussion. So I really like the choice of the topic. And of course, I got a entire trend as to how this AI has been evolving. Though right now we talk about AI, but there has always been a trend towards adapting to a newer technology. So I was able to get that kind of a holistic knowledge from this session.
Right. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. How about Thomas?
Hello to everybody. Thanks, Joel, for your great information and interesting points. I'm Thomas Dinobel. I'm situated in Europe, in Austria, and I'm managing partner of a consultancy, a learning expert, and I was in the financial industry as a learning expert for about 25 years. So quite a lot of experience, starting with e-learning and this interesting parts of technology in learning, which was always a point. But first, congrats to your Blue Elephant Solutions, to your innovation award. So that's a point what I saw on LinkedIn. So congrats for this. And well, just to add or to Joel's headline, like friend or foe, I think it's this end. So it is a foe also for some people, because I think we L&D professionals are looking only and are affected by the positive effects, like replacing these repetitive tasks, that we have this super talented intern, absolutely great. But I think that there are users, meaning our learners, and some of those who have a bit more resentments on this whole AI technology. So thinking about how are we dependent on those few players in America. So it's very abstract where this information sits, the technology sits. It's more or less a black box. So they are a bit skeptical about the reasoning, why and who is reasoning there, and who decides on something. Yeah, because if decisions are made, then I think there might be more situations where the people would think it could be older workforce, etc. How am I analyzed in a way? If you have a meeting, is there AI analysis in the background? You have been the most aggressive one in the meeting, something like this. And just with even where you say, oh, I help in learning, it could be that they say, okay, but AI is reasoning that I am doing the worst because reasoned on something I even don't know and you don't know as an L&D professional, because AI is doing your dirty work in a way. So I think it's that, and also in Europe, the workers' councils are very strong. So there is something where we have to explain on something, and we would need an AI learning policy in a way to say, look, we are ethically using artificial intelligence, it's for your benefit, etc. So I think the earlier that we come with this thing, that the more we get into this positive side and get also our learners in the boat and say, how can you benefit from AI and how great it is, and that we don't misuse it. So that was just maybe the devil's advocate position, but I think it's very necessary to don't lose it out of sight. Thanks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's important. It's always important to have these thoughts, be critical with these things as well. So thank you for sharing. And I also, I didn't mention that earlier, but as you just picked it up as well, the analogy, I think, from Joel earlier to look at AI as a bit of an intern. I think it's a pretty good one, actually. So yeah, thank you for sharing. We still have Naveen on here as well.
Hey Max, hey all, thank you so much for this opportunity. And let me make it quick and the essence of time. Joel, it was an amazing session. I really love it, and I'm a learning experience partner. I specialize in developing soft skill and coaching for leadership, and I love what I do, and I love how the AI has been transitioning into learning as well. And one thing which I really love what Joel did back there is comparing it to an industrial revolution and how the mentality was transitioning towards it. And I think it's all about how we interpret AI and the use case of AI. Yes, the same industrial revolution, same steam engine used for transportation and also for locomotive and also for anything destructive as well. So it's all about how what we feed to AI is what it reaps at the end. And so it's once again, it just like how Joel said, right? It's how we train that intern, how we train that AI is eventually it's going to lead up to it. And as a trainer, I think I completely agree with that. And it's about how we prepare it for it. I have an AI which is going to constantly call me, "Hey Naveen," and I'm constantly going to ask about it. And I love one true thing which I love about how Joel was able to prompt prompt AI towards his chat GPT. It's not just chat GPT, right? There are 100 other AI and language supportive is actually popping up. And I really love how he was able to prompt that chat, generators answers, and how much it is going to be needing us and going to be the way we want it to be, rather than just what it gives. So it's all about what we ask it to do and not just about what its own has, right? So it's never about its own hunger, it's about what we feed, and I love answering that. So thank you so much about this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Yeah, 100% correct. Definitely agree with that take as well on our side. I think Srirandini, we still haven't heard from you either. If you want to share something as well, please feel free.
Yeah, hi Max. Thanks Joel for a great session. So I am also working in the talent management and development space. And Joel, I have a question for you. So since all of us are curious about AI and wondering, big question, whether it'll take over our jobs and, all these buzzwords that are going around us, I wanted to ask you whether you have used AI in the L&D space, and if yes, can you share any examples?
I wouldn't say too much, Nandini, right? But AI, I use AI to design content, right? To come up with something. For example, the presentation that I created was done by Canva, right? And I give certain specific inputs. In fact, the one that this particular presentation, right? I knew that ChatGPT would not be able to create that level of context. So maybe I'll give you a very generic answer, right? Maybe again, I'll talk use cases rather than something. So you can use Synthesia, or you can use a lot of other AI tools which can just create your own profile, and you can just feed in any words, and those avatars and profile can do the training, right? So for example, imagine yourself as a trainer, right? Instead of you going to a training room, what you could do is you could use Synthesia or any of these avatars, and you can actually feed in the complete training content, right? And you can just play the video, right? And you can play videos day in and day out. So that is one use case, right? The second use case is you can like how I've been using my my chat GPT. If you understand how ID works, you can feed your chat GPT to or any NLP, right, to use to create content, right, in a way that an instructional designer would do, right? Third is I would say coaching. Again, you would need to understand the difference between consulting and coaching, right? So chat GPTs or any NLPs are good at asking you questions, right? But if you're able to feed a coaching machine, algorithm, you should be able to have a chat GPT. Again, a very immature, very naive GPT, a very curious GPT who would actually ask you questions, ask you certain challenging questions, probably get it 50% of the time right, and probably 50 times ask you questions without the without their understanding, right? So one, in terms of training delivery, yes, separately, instructional design separately, and coaching. These are the three use cases that I see. Of course, there are other elements such as recommendation systems that are available. In fact, at Comcast, we are coming up with a recommendation system where you type something in, and that algorithm would tell you, or at least predict what could be better for you, things like that. So those recommendation systems could be one use case, right? So these are the four things that come to my mind at the moment.
Shomi said she can't unmute herself at the moment. No problem.
Hi, Max.
Oh, there we are. Okay.
Hi, this is Shomi. Yes, so I
Hi,
kind of
Shomi.
figured out, and I unblocked stuff in my browser, so it did let me unmute myself right now. So I can go next if there's no one else in the room.
Sure, yeah, please feel free.
I'm Shormi. I am pretty much in Joel's team. I work for Comcast India as well. My position is of that of a learning and development partner, and I am based in Chennai, India. So I really like the presentation that Joel brought in. It's something that is very much to the concept of what we are seeing in today's world, right? So very, very apt for the current scenario. What really clicked me was the place where he mentioned how the industrial revolution happened, and maybe we are also in some certain phase in our career or in the journey where we see such kind of revolution taking over through AI, right? So the way I look at AI is, something that can help and enhance the learning experience of our participants. Not to mention that we we look at different demographics today, and the newer generations, they don't like the age-old training sessions, right? They look for something new. They look for something that's interesting, that can keep them occupied and keep them interested throughout the session. So gamification through AI, I think it's revolutionizing, right? So looking at our younger generations, looking at the younger workforces, and just the ways of learning newer ways, maybe keeping it interesting. I think AI plays a big role there. So for me, I look at AI as a partner, and definitely something that can help us take the game to the next level. Thank you so much, Max. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining, Shomi, and thank you for sharing as well. I think, that's everyone on the call so far. Christian, do you still want to share something as well?
I mean, maybe just some very closing words. Joel, thank you so much for this great presentation. It's always interesting to get many different viewpoints on those topics, and also really thanks a lot to the entire people joining this call. Also here, I think very interesting viewpoints. Thomas, I think it's not only the question what is possible, but also what is ethical is super important, and especially because we also work with clients in Germany and in Europe. There's this new AI Act which actually prohibits, for example, personal scorings and things like this to be done by the AI. So I think this is something that is still needs to be explored, that we do it in an ethical way. We bring the people on the way along, and we really do it to support and to improve the way we're learning at the moment, and not to try to replace certain things or to do anything like that. In case somebody's interested, because I think there were some comments earlier on what is possible. feel free also to reach out to us. We're super happy to support with some ideas. We share projects we're currently doing with other clients or what we hear from the industry. I think the possibilities are big, but we really need to have, and that comes back also to the point of the presentation, you need to have a pain that needs to get solved. AI is not there by itself. It's a tool that helps to solve a problem. And we first should identify the problem, decide if AI is actually the right tool then, and then once there are so many different possibilities to drive this forward. So really, thank you very much to everyone. Joel, we should really think about a second round because there was so much knowledge, and I think we can go in certain areas deeper, and really hoping to also have this network living and joining other calls, connect outside of this call, share your LinkedIn, and we want the learning and development community to thrive and to drive this change forward. So thank you very much.
Right. Thanks for the opportunity, Christian. Thanks, Max. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks very much as well, Joel, from my side. Thank you for taking the time. Great presentation. I think very insightful. I think a lot of people can relate. It's just the times that we're in right now. Please do feel free again to to plug your books here as well. If you want to put it in the chat for people to see as well. Please feel free to do so. And as Chris said, everyone here, feel free to connect outside of this as well via LinkedIn. Keep in touch. And yeah, hopefully we can see you again sometime at one of our next calls as well.
All right. Thank you.
And thanks everyone.